Prime Minister Philemon Yang kick-started a tour of his native Northwest region Monday. His rather delicate assignment is to try and overturn the currently endangered academic year in that part of the country by cajoling students and teachers to return to school. The mission, the second for the PM in about 3 months, comes after the GCE Board met in Boya last Friday, March 3, and resolved to once again prolong the registration deadline for the O and A level exams this year to March 20. On Toughtalk today, we probe the rationale and stakes behind these decisions and much more. We'll be back in a jiffy. So they are here with me. They are all from the house. One of them is a seasoned journalist, Elie Smith. Welcome.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks for finding time to be on the panel this morning.
Pleasure once again.
Kejan-Henry Atembe is a household name across Cameroon and especially within the English journalism spheres. Am I correct?
You are very much correct. Thanks very much, Ntaryke Devine.
So, gentlemen, the bargain is on. The PM is currently in the Northwest region. He actually had his first lap in Bamenda in the Mezam division yesterday. And we're going to be going over to Annie Collins in the next couple of minutes. But first of all, is it a feasible bargain?
Well, everything is possible. It's very difficult to now. I can say it's too close to call because the first time they made a monumental blunder because they were trying to copycat what the SDF was doing, forgetting to understand that the CPDM is not just in West Cameroon, that is a reviled political party. Even over here, people don't like it. I think
over here in the French-speaking
part of Cameroon, if now he is going there as a prime minister, which means that it's a neutral figure, then he has some concrete proposals to put on the table. I think chances are that maybe there's going to be a positive outcome.
Okay, now, Kejan-Henry, the fact that, well, some say it's President Paul Biya who actually personally dispatched the PM to the Northwest region. Is it an indicator to you that the first mission about 3 months ago was a flop?
It was a flop. I like the word you said, dispatch, but I want to say Prime Minister Yang was jettisoned because the holidays will be going in about 2 weeks. I mean, Easter break, right. 2 weeks. Which means that if we go back to school, if we resume 2 weeks after, the students will have, for those who are in the examination classes, will have 1 month, because after the break, they will come back to school for May 20th.
Okay.
They will spend some time for May 20th ceremony. After they march past the ceremonial ground, those who are in the other classes will go back home, while those who are occupied examination centers and writing examinations will stay back in school to write examinations, which means it's a relatively very short time. And that is why I say the Prime Minister was jettisoned by Mr. Biya to hurriedly arrest the situation. And you used the word cajole. I'm afraid you are very correct. It's cajoling the people to accept the realities. Mm-hmm. But then my advice is that Prime Minister Yang, in calculus, if you miss the other variables, you change and try to get the answer. Right. The advice would be that, one, if
there's a beautiful image of the PM on the screen there. It's like he's listening to you and asking, but what's he saying?
What's he saying? Good. So if you miss the calculus, please try the Southwest region. You can harvest the gains.
We're going to come to talk about this in detail.
Yeah, good.
And of course, we have an excerpt from the PM's first lap in Bamenda yesterday. But you were actually mentioning this a while ago, Elie Smith. Is it a better approach to meet the educationists, the religious and traditional leaders this time around, rather than, just going to meet, hardline trade unionists from the English subsystem of education like it happened the last time? Not necessarily with the PM, but with other emissaries that were sent to the region?
Yes and no. The thing is that those elected or traditional chiefs were not the ones who called for what we are undergoing currently. Okay. I think, on the other hand, since some of them have some credibility, I think it's better to talk with them in a very humble manner. because they might in turn try to induce the others. But it's going to be very tough on the part of the Prime Minister because he has to bring something on the table.
Okay.
Yeah, because the mistake the government did was that I don't see the reason why first they decided to organize a march. And the other thing is that when the Prime Minister went first to the Northwest region, you saw that there was a kind of disorder in the government. While he was there saying something, his ministers were back in Yaoundé organizing their press conferences and saying things differently. Exactly.
Differences. Now, Kejan Henry, you actually mentioned this a while ago. Well, the evolution of this crisis exposes one point to me personally. I think is the fact that the so-called elite from both the Northwest and the Southwest region, they appear to have been disconnected from the grassroots. And if you agree with this standpoint, and I guess you do.
I do.
If you agree with that standpoint, then is Prime Minister Philemon Yang the man to be sent to Bamenda? Has he got the magic stick?
He has the magic stick. You see,
is he an elite?
He is, and a trustworthy elite, to be very honest with you. You know, he's somebody who speaks very little, and for those who know him, I don't know him personally, but just an observation.
Okay.
He doesn't talk much, and I think if he has to go now, like with a magic wand, he should probably harvest the gains. Now he's not going, like Elie said, under the banner of a political party, but as a prime minister, and to be more precise, like you said in the beginning, as a son of that region of the country.
Right.
That is to say, somebody going to talk to his people. Remember, we have been talking on these many times that people should, you know, those discredited elites should try to rethink whether or not they are the right persons now to talk to the people. I think if Prime Minister Yang, who is moving now on bended knees, because we were informed by government-run media that the Prime Minister is on a contact tour. But I'm afraid, probably, because when you talk of contact tour, probably he's going to listen and then to carry it. No. He is going to solve a problem, because when you're a contact tour, you gather a few bits and pieces. So, okay, I will see. We have gone past that stage. So I think this is a time, you know, the Prime Minister has avoided that Chinese-like mass conclave of bringing all the people on board in Bamenda.
Okay.
And that is why he's going from division to division.
Hopefully this time around,
the message will be able to pass.
The solutions that are being proposed would be down up rather than top down.
Good.
Now I'll stick with you, Elie Smith, on the same issue. We're talking about the elite who have probably lost credibility and respect among their fellow citizens from that part of the country. And the question would be, who can make the better negotiator? Despite what Kejang says, I still believe there are a couple of people in the Northwest and the Southwest who think the PM is not the man to come and man the negotiations. The traditional rulers, the funds, have been reduced to laughing stocks in the Northwest in particular. So who, according to you, can be the negotiator in these talks?
That is where I differ fundamentally with my friend and colleague Kejan. The Prime Minister is not representative of the people of the Northwest region or the Southwest, because we have a problem in the Northwest and Southwest regions, and even all over Cameroon. All those who parade around as representative of the people are a little clique living in Yaoundé, cut off from the reality.
Okay.
So they don't have credibility. If he's going there as an elite of the Northwest region, he's going to fail, because there are other people in the Northwest and Southwest region who are closer to the people. Those are the type of people whom...
Can you cite an example?
Well, they cannot really come in the mind.
I just want him to cite an example.
In the Northwest, right?
Yes.
Well, I have a number of names, so I want to avoid giving any names here, because when you give a name, it's going to... Because there are some guys in the Northwest or Southwest region who are really the men of the people, as Chinua Achebe said.
Right.
But when you have...
And not necessarily because they belong to a political party.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So now, and the other problem we have is our traditional chiefs. If you may recall, in 1953, there was a traditional chief in the Northwest region called the Fon of Bafut called Achirimbi.
All right.
People like Achirimbi used to have a kind of credibility. When he came to Manfe in 1953, when in Delhi organized the first conference in 1953. What did he say? He said something extraordinary, that going to Nigeria is like going to the sea and you're going to drown. Coming to East Cameroon is like falling into fire. He had some kind of credibility. But the guys today paraded themselves as traditional chiefs have little or no credibility because they have acted like the biblical Esau and sold their birthrights. They don't have the credibility. What the government has to do is, well, the prime minister, I think on the sideline, look at people who have credible voices, be he or she from the northwest or southwest region. I think that putting him going there now with all what he has done, except he's now going with concrete proposals.
Right.
But I think he has his hands on the back, because what will he tell those people while you have credible leaders such as Abobala, Fontem, Mancho BBC in detention when they have done nothing? Another thing, what will you tell them when you have forces of insecurity on the ground causing more...
Are they forces of security or insecurity?
My brother,
Well,
when you have people who rape, who gang rape children, who beat up people, who shoot at people willy-nilly,
Okay.
are they forces of security? No.
All right,
I think that's
and,
where
even if
I've
they
been
have to
listening
put
to a couple
security,
of
they are
parents and
afraid.
their reactions from yesterday's first lap of the talks, and some of them say one of the conditions that should be put in place before they can send their kids to school is for the government to demilitarize Bamenda and parts of the Northwest. I want to stick with you, Keja Henry. This is Tough Talk, of course. Would you say Wiba Joseph should be the man to be negotiating these talks?
Apart from Weber, you could associate other people. Let me tell you.
You're not answering the question, Henry.
Good. Yes. Weber has his vision. Probably he could be included, because in such negotiations, we don't need one person. But let me tell you, Devine, if you move into some of our universities, you have very credible professors. I mean this.
The professors also lost respect a couple of years ago when they all teamed up in favor of the CPDM, the ruling party.
No, but there are those you will not. There are those who still command respect in front of the children they have trained too many years. Some of whom are equally professors like themselves. Some of whom are members of government. There are people, like Elie said, we will not call names, but if somebody somewhere wants us to give names or propose names, we will propose the names, and you will see the people will come out and talk to the people, and this magic wonder you were asking will change.
Okay, now Elie Smith, on the fringes of these considerations, there are some who opine that it is time for President Paul Biya to enact a cabinet reshuffle, and that top on the roster of those to be ejected should be the PM himself.
Exactly. You know, there are three individuals that really needs to be ejected in order to appease the people.
Who are they?
You have the Prime Minister himself.
Right.
You have the Minister of Higher Education, Professor
Jacques Fam
Ndongo. You have also that very arrogant person who takes himself to be a demigod called...
Gogomo Mengod?
No, not Gogomo. That minister... Justice Minister. What is that his name, by the way? Laurent Eso. You know, to be honest, if Laurent Eso is shown the door, there's going to be party. This is a man who humiliates Mr. Jackson Kamga every day and
in broad daylight,
and Kamga doesn't have any. Those individuals are the ones who have poured fuel on the flames that is already burning in West Cameroon and crossing over the Mongo. So I think it will be a very good thing for him to be shown the door. He is not representative, because you have, like Albert Mukom said something, you have a kind of bourgeoisie comprador elites of Anglophones.
That's too hard for some of our viewers.
Exactly.
Bourgeoisie comprador. Can you break it down?
Yeah, that is a kind of corrupt clique.
All right.
Anglophones who are in Yaoundé lying to Paul Biya every day.
And living in affluence.
Yes, because they don't say what's happening on the ground. When they come to Yaoundé, they tell lies. But there's another thing I want again to beg to differ with you, right?
Honorable
Niba might be a kind of incendiary person who speaks with flames and things like that, but he is a man of the people. A man like Wirba can be able to appease people from the northwest and southwest region. He was the only MP who had the effrontery
Elie,
to come.
You must agree with me that
Yes.
if he accepted to handle such an initiative,
Yes.
he'd probably be burnt alive, because they may say, Anglophones, that he's been bought over.
No, but Anglophones need to understand there's something we also need to tell Anglophones. There is a kind of wave of extremism that is going on. We need to have the spirit that we had before, that people should have the courage to express themselves, express their opinions. When you were in Victoria, there are two teams in Victoria. There is Victoria United and there's Elexport. And those teams are ideologically opposed. Some were for unification and some were against. But they demonstrated their differences on the football playing field. If Wilbur today takes up that mantle, and if and only if the government has the courage and the humility to say, okay, you Wilbur, you talk a lot, now let's see what you can do. Right. I think nothing is going to happen.
Okay, talking a lot. Now, Devine, let me just
Henry, briefly.
Yes, very briefly. If the Prime Minister had thought it wise to include, I hope he's in Bansot now, because I think the
second lap is not the Boy division, really. It should be mentioned.
It should be mentioned. In fact, it will come. One is very certain. But then, if Honorable Weber, well, he's an MP of the place, should be in Bansot, or if he had been included in the Prime Ministerial delegation, that would have been a good thing too for the Prime Minister, because Weber could be sitting there and calling the shots. He could even ask the people to, yes, you are saying that they'll probably treat him as being bought over. But I think if they are thought it wise, they could include Honorable Weber in the delegation.
Not only him, and others too.
And others too.
All right.
Yes.
Now, some as we speak, some people have the opinion, and they hold strongly to it, that the PM should simply throw in the towel and step out of government. In other words, he should resign, because up till now he has failed. Meantime, speculators are unanimous. Elie Smith will be going over to Bamenda in the next couple of minutes to talk to Bamenda-based correspondent Annie Collins. But in the meantime, speculators are unanimous that if the PM wants to avoid failure, he should submit to the demands of the people of the Northwest region. These demands include the liberation of the arrested and detained protest leaders, a reconnection of the internet, and of course a demilitarization of these parts of the country. Is that where the bargain may sway?
Exactly. That's where I think, and then if they can meet on to those demands, I think the Anglophones as well should also be able, as they say, to able to moderate their demands. If the internet is reinstalled, if those unjustly arrested, like the leaders of the consortium, are freed, then there's no reason why people should not go to school, I think. And then on the other hand, the others who are perhaps against, like some extremist fringe of the Anglophone movement, should be able also to understand that in a matter of negotiation, there is need for compromise. It's a matter of give and take.
What if the trip flops? And that's a major question hanging on the lips of many observers. What if the PM flops again, Henry? Well, that would mean we're heading straight on towards a blank academic year, which is dangerous.
Which is dangerous. You have said it all. If it flops, like I was trying to paint a picture of the time frame, if it flops, because the time that the PM will waste in crisscrossing the Northwest region of the country.
He has up until Friday,
March the 10th. As we speak, when minutes are dying, and when minutes are dying, days or hours are dying, so too the time is ebbing out to catch up. So he will spend 1 week in Bamenda. At the end of it, if they don't come up with a concrete solution to the crisis, well, it might be another story to tell. But our wish, or my wish,
yes,
probably before it is your wish or Elie's,
I'm not
is
sure.
that
I'm not sure you want to know what my wish is.
Schools should begin.
All right.
We could always avert the negation of any negation.
Okay.
To bring out something.
And in other words, victory for the PM will mean defeat for the hardliners clamoring for no GCE examinations this year.
No, but I want to remind the people: it is not. There is no problem of victor or vanquish.
All right.
You understand?
Okay.
It is Cameroon. It is our region which is at stake.
Is it time to make peace? Is it feasible?
Yeah, it's feasible. Like in everything divine, there is time for everything. There is time for war and there is time for peace.
Okay.
And I think that as just to respond to the question you asked to Henry, in case the Prime Minister fails this time around, which I don't wish him to, then he has to muster the courage to resign.
Okay.
I know that in Cameroon, resignation is not in their terminal, in their
Just
words
words
and
or
things like that.
vocabulary.
Yes.
But I think that, Devine, in everything, you need to have time for negotiation. There is time, I think, as you said, we need to give peace a chance.
All right. And I think this time around, it is time to try and give peace a chance. Some say it is bad news to hijack the education future of innocent children who are only paying the price because the elephants are fighting. Annie Collins, hello.
Hello, Devine, welcome.
Can you, good morning and thanks for standing by to make your contributions from the headquarters of the Northwest region, and that's precisely Bamenda. Can you paint a verbal picture of what happened in town yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday you mean?
Yes, yesterday, Collins. What happened? I mean, you guys received the Prime Minister yesterday for the first lap of his tour of the region. So what really happened?
Yes, just to say the Prime Minister had a smooth ride through town.
Okay.
From his hotel right to the Congress Hall, where he had a meeting with the population, stakeholders in the matters of education. I say smooth ride because there was the usual weekly ghost town on Monday, which
Yes.
was really ridiculous yesterday. And that's why I said the Prime Minister had a smooth ride with the motorcade, even though they always ride with the rain.
That's because the streets were empty.
Yes, very, very void for the usual occupants,
Okay.
motorcycles, cars, lorries, and other commercial automobiles and pedestrians.
Okay.
So, yes.
So let me slightly take you to task, Collins. Would you confirm from a personal perspective that the PM has chances of success? First of all, what were the what message came out from his meeting with the stakeholders yesterday? I hear you were not part of the coverage. You were denied access to the Congress Hall. Is that correct?
Yes, at the Congress Hall, the only message that came out was the one that was born by the Prime Minister right from young days, coming to tell parents, convince parents, tell parents about the importance of education for their children. And that is the message that he passed across from the rostrum.
Okay.
Of course, he said government has every reason to keep Cameroon united, and that fear, he drew out very much of the fear factor, that the fear that is characterizing town now will not help Cameroon.
Okay.
And that the fear is, of course, due to the presence of the heavy military presence of police and gendarme officers around town, and that is because it's to guarantee their security. And some persons too are being quick to say or to wonder how shops are being bubbled into every now and then. How will a week go by here without shops being bubbled?
Despite the heavy presence of the security forces.
Yes, with the heavy presence of security forces, so that persons have been wondering how that could be happening. So the Prime Minister said the forces are there for their own security. And here I am, Devine, maybe I just come straight to where I am at the moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm presently at the Catholic Mission Complex. They call it the St. Joseph Metropolitan Cathedral. It's popularly known as Big Mansion here in Bamenda.
All right.
And it's a complex, an educational complex, because in front of me I can read above them St. Joseph's School Mansion. That is the primary school section of this complex. And then up a little bit we have the Our Lady of Lourdes secondary school, and then below the primary school you have that is directly below the church you have the Catholic University, and everywhere here is quiet. But for I think the rector's office which I can see it's like open, and 1, 2, 3 cars, 4 cars I can see on the campus. That is all what I can see here. The teachers of the primary section have been here, and the inspector of basic education has just come and met them, and they told me that met the inspector, and the manager of schools has also come and seen them. That the teachers have been here, the children are not forthcoming, the parents are not sending their children. The parents have openly told them, one of the teachers told me that the parents have openly told them that the children were delivered by them, and they have the right to send them to school or not.
In other words, Annie Collins, you are telling us that despite calls for schools to resume this Tuesday, it's still a blackout on the campuses?
A total blackout, Divine, a total one. That is where I am now. And before I arrived the Catholic Mission Complex this morning, I have been at the Presbyterian one, that is at Ziri, which also is a complex because it has a primary and secondary sections, and there is also nothing. The gates, of course, are always long open, but nothing. And at the Our Lady too. Let me come back to the Catholic Our Lady of Lord Secondary School. The gates are locked, but if you want to get in, then the day watch will not hesitate to open with the gates and you fulfill all the other formalities needed, identify yourself and so on.
Okay.
There is nobody on campus out there. So those are like, I'll go back to the man of the street again, Divine, because they
Yes.
always say their minds. They told me once that they are still waiting for those 70-seater buses that went away with those children of the big people from the boarding schools to come back. Then they too can go to school. So I've been out there.
No, Collins, can you explain that a bit more in detail? Collins?
Yes. Right.
Can you please come back to what you just said? I mean, what's happening with 70-seater buses and kids of big people? Can you just explain that a bit?
Yes, as I said, I once talk to people on the street,
yes.
in beer parlors, in the Mbo houses, where the palm wine houses.
Right.
So those are corners we get into to get some of these people's minds. So they told me that the day they will see those 70-seater buses of travel agencies that are used to transporting the children of the big people from the Yaoundés and the Doualas and so on, to transport them to and from school, that when the strike began, they transported these children away from Bamenda, and that's the day they will see them bring back the children of those big people, then they too, the common man, can send their own children to school. That they have told me many times, and that is that's part of their own message. One of the messages.
Yes.
Yes, one of the messages at the Congress call yesterday was that of a withdrawal of troops from the street.
Okay.
Because they say it is creating panic, and even the wife of a military man stood up in the hall and said she is the wife of a military man, and she still has that panic when she sees the troops, masked troops around town with guns on Land Rover, the police Land Rover vehicles, and moving about the town. If she can have that fear, what of the woman
the ordinary
who is
people?
The military? How should she feel? Will she be able to go to the market? That is the question that woman, wife of the military officer, posed to the Prime Minister yesterday at the Congress call.
Thanks sincerely, Annie Collins, and stay safe, right?
Okay, thank you, Divine.
We'll be talking.
And the Bamenda is still trying to boom.
Okay.
So today is not the traditional ghost town day, but for the non-school resumption as yet.
Thanks very much once again, Annie Collins. We'll be coming back to you in our next edition of the program on Thursday. Thanks once again, Collins. Annie is our permanent correspondent in Bamenda in the Northwest region, and that's where, of course, the Prime Minister debuted his regional tour, which ends on Friday, March the 10th. Coming back to you, Henry, when you listen to Annie Collins, what's coming to your mind?
I'm chilly.
Is this going to work or is it going to fail? No schools are resuming yet.
Well, you saw my countenance. I was extremely chilly because I'd prophesied a red carpet for Prime Minister Young, fresh palm wine from World Trade Center that I know very well. And
in Bamenda?
Yes. And
World Trade Center?
And yes, and and good meat from the cow market for Prime Minister Young, and good food from the food market. But listening to Annie Collins, I wonder aloud if Prime Minister Young will finally make it or be the messiah that we were thinking all. But I repeat, it is our fervent wish that schools should come. Listen to what Annie Collins said, that when the strike was announced, parents who are living in the this other part of the country, Yaoundé, Bafoussam, Douala, Boya, etc., withdrew their children, and they saw fleets of 70-seater buses transporting their children back to their homes. And that the parents are saying that, okay, if these fleets of vehicles should bring back those children who would come on campus and meet their friends, their mates, then they will equally send their own children back to school.
Okay, Elie Smith, apparently it's a bad start for the PM.
Yeah, we did not expect that it will start on a good footing. It will be dishonest on our part to think that after what he had experienced, after what the people of the region are experiencing, then he will come and then they will give him a red carpet, which means that we are not, then the people there, maybe, I don't know how we can characterize them. Okay. It's always like that. A negotiation is always that way. The thing is that I think Prime Minister Philemon Yang should come with his hands full and put things on the table.
In other words, yes, he came to the talks empty-handed, Henry?
Yes, he came he came empty-handed. The people have their cards, they are waiting with what he will bring.
The cards include the liberation of the arrested
people,
the reconnection of the internet,
and of course, demilitarization. Listen to what Colin said, the wife of a military officer, because when you're a wife of a military officer, incidentally, you have that courage, even not to be afraid of the gun. But at this particular stage in time, if she could speak, begging, because from what Colin said, she's like begging for the demilitarization of the town. Of because Bamenda. It is even frightening, even to her, the wife of a military officer.
Okay, now I beg all of you to come along with me and listen to a short excerpt of what the PM said at the meeting at the Congress Hall in Bamenda yesterday.
School should resume tomorrow. The government will review the end of year calendar. This is in your interest because your children, your students need to cover the skills. If you make it impossible for a neighbor to go to school or go to a shop, that is a crime by our penal code. And I can't be sorry for somebody who creates this type of crime. School should resume tomorrow. The government will review the end of year calendar. This is in your interest because your children, your students need.
Children from going to school is punishable by Cameroon's penal code. This is not sounding like someone who's going for concessions.
Good. That is the magistrate speaking with threats again. But anyway, that was an advice. It was an advice. But now the way he puts it might look a threat. You know, but it's an advice because normally, just like on this set, we can say any child, because all of us accept that any such thing is punishable. If you take any child, you abduct, you kidnap, like we hear is happening, it's punishable by the penal code. In fact, I was just quoting the penal code, but I think there is nothing wrong. But from the voice, you could hear the voice of somebody who's lamenting and wishing for the people to accept that, okay, I am your son. Okay. I have come to plead with you to accept what I've brought on the table.
The PM is not actually going to Kumbo. That's in the Bui division of the Northwest region today or tomorrow. That's about the last lap of his tour of that part of the country. But before we come to talk to our correspondent in Kumbo, he's called Lambert Keven. Let me ask you this question, Elie Smith. It's a dangerous precedent was seen being set already, and we also advise the PM, well, if this thing fails to work, the best way for you out is to step down. Now, many people in the Northwest region actually say he's more Canadian than a Northwesterner, and that's why he lost touch with the grassroots.
Yeah, if you could recall, I told you a while ago that we have a kind of bourgeoisie comprador elites in Yaoundé who are, in fact, they are masquerading to be representative of the people that they are purported to represent, whereas they are not. Okay. If he's Canadian, he would have known that when you are going for a negotiation, you don't speak as though you are imposing, that is what threatening people, okay. Knowing full well that if he carries on threatening, it's not going to work. What is that we should try to look for means to appease people, show them the importance of why students should go to school. Anyi gave an example. Those who have deep pockets burst out their children from the northwest to the west region or to the littoral region. The same thing happens in the southwest. Now the thing is, there are the children of people who are poor who are victim of what is going on, okay. Which is not wrong, but there is a problem in it. When you deny children from going to school, we have a precedent. Rapidly, I will conclude. Okay. In South Africa, when the ANC sent out a slogan, no education, liberation before education. Okay. And we have the consequences today. Okay. We need to learn from the mistakes that others have committed. We can now, I think, how they corrected those mistakes. Yes.
Hi, Lambert Kevin. Hello?
Yes, Devine. Good morning. Good morning,
good morning, Lambert. Lambert is our correspondent in Kumbo. Lambert?
Right. Welcome to the land of the descendants of the warriors from Zop.
I like that kind of description you're giving us this morning. So how is Kumbo? How are you people preparing to receive the Prime Minister later this week? Is it a red carpet you're going to roll out? What color is that carpet going to be?
This morning, we received a communique from the Senior Divisional Officer for Bui Division, that is Zeki Theophile, calling on or inviting the various school heads, principals, and other delegates that the Prime Minister will be here tomorrow, Friday, the 10th of March.
That's the day after tomorrow.
2017.
All right.
And of course, from since we got the message that the Prime Minister will be here, let me tell you that I have been moving around with my microphone, the microphone of Canal English, trying to know from the people how they are set to receive the Prime Minister. But let me tell you that so many of them, if care is not taken, it will be a ghost town. I've received 7 messages from whosoever. I have received the 7 messages and indications that the day is coming here, it will be a ghost town. But let me tell you that it is the Prime Minister's right, as the son of Bui Division, as the Prime Minister of the country Cameroon, to go to the people, yes, to go to the stores, to know what is happening in the field, rather than working or handling his office through the calls or through calls from the NCOs and GOs or whatever. Okay. He is taking this initiative. He is coming because there's a problem. I want to think so. And it is his duty to take a list after every month or even a week. Why not? He's being sponsored. It is our taxpayers' money to move around, to come closer to the people, to ask, what is your problem? Right. I think that after the tour from the division, it will be the tour, his initiative. He should equally take an initiative to go from schools to schools to actually know exactly what's happening. Okay. Because I'm talking, I'm situated just below the Islamic High School here in Kumbo, and the government practicing school, Bamenda, right, where nobody can be seen on campus, be it the day watch, be it the security man, be it whoever, be it the guardian. Okay. And let me tell you, this morning, I was coming off from the Bamenda school, where I went down to see actually whether schools are on. I saw only one pupil in GPS, Bamenda. Okay. So definitely, from what I'm getting from majority carries the vote, people are trying to tell me that if care is not taken, it will be a good town.
Okay, now Lambert, the PM, Philemon Yang, actually hails from Oku, if my information is correct, and that's in the Bui Division. But this is contradictory that the son of the soil should be reserved this kind of treatment, way before he comes.
People may be, inhabitants may be behaving this way because he has not been responding to their plea when he was mostly needed. He should not be coming here because he wants to come and settle scores or come and, in fact, like dialogue with the people because there's a crisis that's going on.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Divine, if the Prime Minister is coming here with those who are being cased or those who are being detained, I think he will be the right thing. But if he's coming here alone as a Prime Minister with the bodyguard, I'm afraid we were expecting him to come, the first announcement, to come and say, we have reinstalled the internet back.
Okay.
2, these are your people that were arrested. Arrested. 3, we will dialogue. That is my own point of view. So he should not be coming here because the crisis that he wants to come at.
Are those Lambert? Are those some of the conditions you are hearing the people say? I mean, like conditions to be able to come to the bargaining table. Is that what they're saying?
That is it.
Okay.
You know, so many people, like some principals or head teachers, they want dialogue and they want genuine dialogue.
Okay.
It should not be verbal dialogue, but we want things to be practically done.
All right.
We are tired of going those days where people, where you accept that the boss is always right, the government is always right. No, get to your people. Know your people's worry. Don't wait for the last kick of a dying horse to come and do whatever.
Thanks very much, Lambert Kevin. We'll be getting back to you. Lambert is our permanent correspondent in Kumbo, if you don't mind. That's the headquarters of the Bui division. They're expecting the PM there on Friday. What kind of reaction do you... This is all over the place, Henry. No schools, even though the PM actually launched the calls for parents to send their kids to school this Tuesday.
Well, Prime Minister Young, hundreds of the elites out there, is a prodigal son. You know, he's prodigal after having lost...
Can you come back on that and explain it just a bit?
Yes, he's prodigal after having lost contact with his family. Now he's struggling to come back and ask for forgiveness. Well,
he's coming with a problem to ask for forgiveness.
So, but then, you know, the prodigal son, the father accepted and even slain bulls for the family because that was the real affectionate child.
Okay.
But now I find Prime Minister Young not being accepted by his people because of this prodigal attitude that he adopted. Now they are coming at a time, you know, the house is on fire, and not coming with extinguishers, you know, but, you know, coming, you are standing in front of the fire helpless, you know, the flames ravaging, blistering, flames ravaging and moving on without any help. I think it is time, like Elie said, we should start rethinking. I'm not one of those who ask somebody to step down.
Okay.
That is incumbent on that person to decide
if it's ripe enough for him to go with. Now, we're supposed to actually get in touch with Tame Valentine, that's the president of the Teachers Association of Cameroon, just to find out what he told the PM yesterday. Unfortunately, Elie Smith, he told you a couple of minutes ago he was coordinating some meeting somewhere.
Yes, they are the GCE board working, doing some moderation because I think people like Tame, Valentine, Monono, and the rest.
Humphrey Monono, the registrar of the GCE Board.
Yeah, there are individuals that we need to encourage. I know that there are people who are calling them names, but I think that we need to encourage because they are of the opinion that wherever there is a crisis, there should be solutions, and there should be some kind of compromise. You will not, at a blow, have everything that you want. So I think that it would have been a good thing to hear what he told the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what he may have told the Prime Minister, even if we got to him, because some people say he is one of the black legs in this struggle. He recently, that was on Friday in Boya, at the council session, the extraordinary council session of the GCE Board, that resolved well to postpone the registration deadline for the GCE to March the 20th. He was quoted as saying that the strike in the first place by the teachers was apolitical.
No, I think
Is that the kind of statements to make at this point in time?
No, I think that statement was pulled out of context. If he said so, I will come into his defense. I think it's a mistake. It is a mistake to have said that it was apolitical. But on the other hand, I think that he's not a black leg. People like Mr. Tame are people
Tame
Valentine. They have gone through thick and thin. Now they know what is going on. If they can now come and say, all right, let's, for example, I think what Mr. Tame Valentine and co are trying to say is that let's give this government a chance. We know that there are a group of people who are ignorant and arrogant, who are good at telling lies. Let's give them a chance and see if they will be able to respect their pledges. And I think now the Prime Minister is not helping individuals such as Ekema, Monono, and Tame Valentine. You will not just come and start talking. You need to bring on the table concrete proposals.
All right. We're going to be having Annette Feti Sommet with briefs, the news briefs, of course, the biggest stories happening today across Cameroon. But first of all, I'll stay with you so that we usher Keja Henry out for 5 minutes, and then he will be back with us. What can Tame and Monono do? Because you were mentioning them a while ago. Was it foolhardy in the first place to insist on stopping and ending the registration for the GCE on the 28th of February when we all knew that the figure was going to be, you know, very, very far lower than what we had in 2016. We're looking at 70,000 students registered for 2017 as against 182,000 last year. It was a blunder for the board to enforce the registration on the 28th?
Yes, that was a blunder on the part of the GCE board, because I think the problem with some guys of the GCE board was that, well, they wanted to please the government. That's a mistake they did. And the government also was in this type of fire brigade action to launder their image as if they are controlling everything. No, they think in nation building, there are periods of crisis whereby it's a matter of give and take. I think the
GCE board independent?
The GCE board is in theory independent.
Why do you say in theory?
Because
it's not.
Yeah, I think they are not, because were they really independent, they would have known full well that we don't have the number of students compared to last year, and they would have said, okay, no, let's postpone the whole show.
Despite what the government
said, yes.
Thanks very much, Elie Smith. Annette Feti, welcome.
Thank you, Devine.
As beautiful as always. You probably ate some nice food this morning.
Well, you said it all. Thanks.
So what's boiling in the news today?
Well, it's a topic we have this morning. The Prime Minister and Head of Government, Philemon Yang, is on day 2 of his advocacy meeting in the northwest region of Cameroon. Yesterday, he told the people of Mezam to send their children to school, and he continues today to whom in the mentioned division with the same message, sensitizing parents and all education stakeholders to take this seriously. We remain still in the northwest region where news reaching us says those schools in this part of the country did not resume today as it was planned this morning. Last Thursday, education stakeholders, namely education secretaries, parent-teacher associations, and leaders of Anglophone teacher trade unions met with the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele Lafrique, to say schools were to fully resume today, Tuesday, taking into consideration that Monday is usually ghost town in Bamenda.
And this time around, Annette Feti, they've stretched the ghost town to cover the International Women's Day on March the 8th.
That's pathetic, but it sounds interesting anyway.
You still have loads more to go.
Yeah, I still have more news. The Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafuda, is in the west region of Cameroon today to launch construction works for the Gyneco-Obstetric and Pediatric Hospital.
That's good news.
Good news.
Some say the Ministry of Health is virtually not working, but this is sound proof that they're doing great stuff for Cameroonians.
And this is going to boost mother and child lifespan, because more women won't be dying and children will be living.
Okay.
They won't die at birth. And this is one of the wishes of the First Lady, Madame Chantal Biya.
And thank God it comes on the eve of the International Women's Day.
And that takes us straight to the news. Tomorrow, March 8th, will be the International Day of the Woman, and preparations gather steam across the country. The 2017 edition has a theme, the woman in the changing world of work, Planet 50-50 by 2030. Across the nation, women are seriously making last-minute preparations ahead of tomorrow. Meantime, educative talks, roundtables, debates, and other social and charitable actions continue. We now move out of the country. The body of the DR Congo's veteran opposition leader, Etienne Tshisekedi, is not going to be repatriated this week as planned, whereas his family had planned his funeral in the DR Congo this coming Saturday. The family and the government are still to agree on where the late man has to be laid to rest precisely. A court in Nigeria has found a former state governor guilty of corruption in one of the first high-profile convictions in President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption war. James Galari has been sentenced to 5 years in jail. Mr. Galari, from the opposition party PDP, was governor of northeastern state in the Adamawa from October 2014 to May 2015. He spent less than a year as a governor of the state. And we finish with Sudan, and this one is very interesting. Devine, a 70-year-old man, has sat for the certificate of primary education with dozens of pupils. He hopes at this age of 70 to pass the exams, go into secondary school, and move right up to the university.
That's a sharp contradiction with what's happening in Cameroon, while others elsewhere are at that age are struggling to go to school. We in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon say it is blackout. Are you surprised, Annette, that the schools didn't resume as heralded yesterday?
I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised. But I don't know why I'm not. I don't know why I had this, that schools will really fully resume like planned, but I'm not surprised. But now, it's a pity. Anyway.
Here's a delicate question, and this is tough talk. You come from the southwest, I come from the northwest. Now, as the crisis evolves, there's this revelation, I don't know if you buy the point, that the northwesterners are more hardlined and the southwesterners are softer, and that they could send their kids to school even if the northwesterners don't. Are you of the opinion?
Well, I'm not of the opinion. I have another opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say history and reality, well, day-to-day life has shown that in the southwest, people are softer and the northwesterners are a bit harder. I just want to think it's a problem of temperaments and how, I believe the people of the northwest region have a stronger temperament, while those of the west region have a cooler temperament. There can be fire here, but the way somebody with a stronger temperament will react will be different from the way...
spill oil on the flame.
Yeah, but somebody who is cooler will handle the situation differently. That's what I think. It's a matter of temperament.
Some say the southwesterners, Elie Smith, are more pro-francophone than the northwesterners.
Pure lies. Pure lies. Because I think the people who say if they don't seem to understand the social engineering of West Cameroon, the guys who are really the nationalists of West Cameroon are people from the southwest region. Okay. The problem is that, and here I think if Toughtalk, we have to speak the truth, is that the problem of the southwest, most southwest people think that the people who brought us into this mess are people from the northwest. That is it. So sometimes they say, okay, you wanted us to go with those people. Now you eat the stew you prepared.
Precisely, Foncha
and Solomon Tandemuna, you understand? But besides that, there's one, I've forgotten that the guy's name is from the southwest. He made an op-ed in the Post newspaper or the Thorn newspaper recently that the northwest and the southwest regions are one and indivisible. So people can say whatever they wish to say. It's as if they don't know the history of this country. Remember just recently, in 1993, when there was a tripartite conference that wanted to take place in Cameroon, the idea of the government, which is a government that seemed to have a kind of divide and rule with a lining of genocidal attitude, because Tionex Bagasora, the man of the Hutu power, the ideologue, was given hostage in this country. Okay. And when they wanted to organize the tripartite conference, the idea behind it was to divide people. And they were shocked and awed when people of the northwest and southwest region met in Boya and came out with what was called the Cameroon Anglophone movement. There can be some kind of differences, yes, like in every family, but the northwest and the southwest region are one in front of a common
enemy,
if I may. Exactly.
Of course, they're the minority in Cameroon. Kejan Henry, you are also from the Southwest.
Thank you.
You are also from the Southwest region, and just in 30 seconds, can you say, give me your opinion on what you think? Are the Northwesterners more hardline than their brethren from the Southwest?
Now, if you look at this problem, you understand that the Southwesterners were more hardliner. Because if you start calling the Northwesterner, if you start seeing that the problems in West Cameroon is caused by Northwesterner, then it becomes a problem still.
Okay.
Remember that the chiefs during the meeting that Musongo had in Boya,
right?
It was a public disgrace to hear that. The person who ordered for the internet to be shut down was the Tabetando. Tabetando is not from the Northwest region of the country.
Exactly.
And he was very categoric. And when he said, I and Musonge asked that internet be shut down, Musonge said, okay, Musonge said, no, I don't know that.
Okay.
So you understand now who is more hardliner. Now people will say Cameroonians are suffering west of the Mungo. They are suffering as a result of Tabetando,
okay,
not as a result of Tassam.
It's always unfortunate, Henry, that you leave the best for last.
Exactly.
When we come back on Thursday, we'll probably pick up from there. Hopefully the situation is going to evolve for the better. And of course, for our children, let them go to school. That's the wish of every parent. But then the conditions must be made as conducive as we should have for them to be able to go to school. People should think that they are in total security before they can send their kids to school. Also, some of those demands should be met according to the reports we had from Annie Collins, our correspondent in Bamenda, Kevin Lambert in Kumbo. And of course, thank you very much, gentlemen. Elie Smith, Kejan Henry.
Thank you.
Let's take another date for Thursday morning.
God willing.
Meantime, you'll be on all the TV channels in Douala this evening. You're talking the same issue.
Exactly.
Thanks, we'll be watching you.
You're right.
Thanks once again. Up next is Ambo Gladys with the
Dibam.
papers.